is up, guys? This is super exciting. I'm going to be building every decal version of the P39 Air Cobra. This is a really good looking kit. The box art is cherry and it gives you a great look at what you can build. And you can see there an olive drab version and also a sand color version as well, and a camo version. If you didn't see my last video, I talk about a little bit where this kit actually came from, and if you want to learn more about the actual model kit, if you're interested in those types of things, you can check out my previous video on the box history of this model kit. Alright, let's start cutting this box open. Just a little bit of my interest in the P39 Air Cobra. I didn't really like the airplane when I first heard of it. I was like, whatever, it's another airplane, you know. But as soon as I started to build this kit and open it up and look at all the parts and stuff, I started to really enjoy the shape of this model. Now, this kit is discontinued. They do not sell them anymore, but you can find these on eBay if you're looking for one. I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, you can still find them. I got all three of mine off of eBay, and one of the boxes was actually open, not this one. Some clear parts for you, and they actually had a really good fit on the model itself. So those clear parts are still good to use. The dudes, kind of cool that they had a dude on a bucket. And there is all of your spruce. All of your pieces parts. Sweet. And some expired coupons. Pretty sure. This kit came out in 2011, so it's a pretty old kit. I don't think any of those are good. Those are some decals there. And the best part, the instructions. Let's dig into these sprues a little bit. This kit actually did have a lot of parts. I was surprised when I cracked into it. It had a lot of parts. More than the P51 Mustang and most Revel kits. It had a lot more parts than those. Mostly because this kit features three different versions of the P39. It's the P39L, P39Q, and P400. So there's different gun options. There's also an open assembly for the engine and the guns on the front of the nose. So there's a lot more parts for those things. And there's just a lot of little tiny itsy bitsy parts that had to be assembled as well. You can see there you have some bomb options and drop tank option. This kit is based off of the Monogram kit, and so therefore it does not have receded panel lines. It has raised panel lines. So the detail is still there, and the raised panel lines are good enough. You know, I don't take the time to sand them all off, because I like building what the box offers, and that's why all my titles say what the box says, and that's why all my parts and my models do what the box tells me to do. I like doing it that way. Here is the fuselage, and some of the wheels, not very detailed on the wheels, but they were good enough to where you can sand them out and stuff. And there you can see part of the engine, which really is not detailed at all. And but still a cool option to have that open. If you wanted to put in detail for that, you could. But yeah, so you can see where there are receded panel lines, but the majority of them are raised. Here's a better close-up of some of those wing details and the raised panel lines on the details. Now, it's really nice. They actually did do good bridging for the ailerons and stuff and the elevators. Honestly, that is pretty good because they had fabric on those areas, and it looks like there's like little fabric type texture on the actual airplane itself. So that was pretty cool. It adds to the model itself. Another thing you can do with those is just apply some matte. If you're doing a gloss varnish or finish, apply a matte finish on those areas, and there will be a slight difference on what it looks like. So and there's those clear parts in a close-up. You can see the lines are pretty nice and pretty easy, 3 or 4 pieces, and the windows go in just fine. Everything was a perfect fit for these windows on this airplane, and they all worked good too. And here's the decals. These decals are the same basic Revel decals or monogram decals you can think of, and just the basic blue, and they were really nice and thin, but not too thin, and they covered well. The white even covered well, so I was happy with that. So here is the instructions. Now, there was a number of different things that you could do with the airplane itself. There's different versions, so it took me a minute to figure out exactly what I was supposed to do with each version, but super simple guide to put this thing together. Super simple way to read the instructions as well. It's your basic, Revel instructions, so there's no difficulty there. If you wanted to get this kit, this would be a good beginner kit for you. But if you really wanted to add some detail to it, you could do that too if you're more advanced in your techniques in modeling. And there you can see the first paint scheme, which is the olive drab and gray underneath, which I really like that paint scheme. Then you have the sand version, and features a cool blue undercoating, and the camo version with the teeth. So see you guys later, and I will catch you in the next. There's the cockpit there. And thank you to all of my subscribers out there. You guys are awesome, and thank you so much for just clicking that button and helping me out a little bit. If you haven't subscribed, please consider to do so. It really does help me out a lot. I don't have a lot of subscribers, so I don't get paid for all of this. But if you did want to, go ahead and click that button so you get notified all the times that I do post and upload. And we are continuing this P-39 Air Cobra build with the cockpit first. And this is just an awesome build. There's a lot of good detail in this kit, and I'm excited to share it with you. So there is the cockpit fully assembled, and we're gonna coat this thing with chromate green. I wanted some different tones of chromate green for all 3 of them, just based on the pictures that I saw. Some were chromate green, and some were also olive drab. So I typically just like to mix it up with all 3 different models. Since I am building 3 different versions, I just wanted each one to be kind of unique in its own way, and so for the camo paint job on the outside, I wanted to do the chromate green on the inside, and I did that with all 3, so I basically just mixed it up to make it contrast a little bit better with the outside paint job. I didn't want too much olive drab going into this thing because there's so many. The other one is olive drab, just completely olive drab. So I just wanted the nice contrast of the chromate green against that olive drab color. And I'm just pre-shading all these before they're even put together. It's just much simpler that way. Just get it over with while you got the color out. Honestly, I don't think I've ever done it any other way than that. It's just my regular routine to do it that way. But as you can see, there is a lot of detail in this kit. For it being an old monogram kit, it's immense how much detail is in this kit. It's definitely an awesome kit to play with. Alright, here I am putting some black on the stick. And yeah, everybody knows kind of this process. You paint all the areas that are black, that might be black, and yeah, you just kind of go to town for a couple hours, It's pretty relaxing. I really enjoy this process and this time of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I'm doing right now. I'm probably spending way too much time showing this because this is pretty boring, but important, to get all those bright black areas in eventually. It just takes a while. So here's the assembled gun doors. I just put in some silver on there. I'm not opening the hatches at all, so I don't really mind not really detailing that much. Now here is the most exciting part. I love dry brushing silver onto these panels and looking at the outcome. I did do a little bit of a unique type thing for each airplane for these, but it's typically all the same. And you can just see all those highlights come out really nicely when you dry brush that silver on. And here's an interesting thing here. I find that this stuff is really good. I just kind of put it on there heavy and coat the whole thing because it's basically like makeup. You put it on and pretty heavy. You can put it on pretty heavy. And you don't have to be shy about it at all. And then you just brush it off. And it actually comes out looking really, really realistic and really cool. So I enjoyed that. You can kind of see there, I'm really mushing it into those cracks and seams and stuff. And that's really the best way to do it because you can get a really nice sand highlighted dashboard or any type of thing that you'd want to use this stuff for. I think it's typically used for tanks and stuff, but I use it on every single one of my models, whether it's dark brown, light brown, or tan. So it comes out looking really good, as you can see there. So this would be I believe the camo decal version. This is the tan decal version. It's cockpit, and man, that one really came out good. You can't go wrong with olive drab, silver, and tan and stuff. It really did come out good. And this is just the plain olive drab cockpit version. So yeah, there you have it. You got 3 cockpits, and you're ready to roll with maybe sticking this thing in the airplane, Alright, so this thing fit in a little weird. It was a little funky and difficult, but it went on. It just took some finagling and figuring out first, but everything fit really well. As you can see there, the wings didn't even need any filler whatsoever. With the Tamiya glue, it just squeezed everything right together. So the wings went on well, the fuselage went together well, the windows fit perfectly. I really did not have a huge issue with anything on this airplane fitting together. And there you got it. Full Cobra, man. Super sweet, super exciting. It just went together like a dream, and I'm really happy with this. As soon as I put this thing together, I was like, man, I really like this airplane. So I'm excited to finish these guys with you. And as you can see too, I have 3 of them. Yes, 3 Era Cobras. Oh yeah. Alright, so there you got it. 3 airplanes, and next week we're gonna paint them up. This was a really fun project. If you wanted to build this model, you should do it. We are going to finish up these Era Cobras. Now, in my previous videos, I showed you I built 3 of these guys, and I just applied a basic coat of gray primer on it. Now I am doing the wingtips. Now there's 3 different decal versions and also 3 different paint schemes for these 3 versions of the P39. So basically I'm going to do all 3 versions, and you'll see how everything comes out. So this version of the P39 with the white wingtips and the white nose is the camo version. And yeah, so I'm just doing some pre-shading there, but this is the camo version, and this is actually the trickiest one I had. I hadn't done a camo version of anything yet, so this is my first attempt at it. And also my airbrush tip is fried, so I'm kind of using a fried airbrush tip. It's my own personal fault, and just doing the best I can with shading the areas that I can. But when you're pre-shading, it really, I mean, it does matter, but you can be as sloppy as you want with it. I mean, you could honestly pre-shade with literally all black, and you could just paint the whole aircraft black, and then go ahead and do your technical airbrushing with the colors that you want on the plane. But I just try to get it close, and it usually works out pretty well for me. I do try to make my shade lines a little bit darker with airplanes that have raised panel lines, because it just stands out more and it looks a little bit better. But you still really don't have to be completely accurate with everything, so it's not that big of a deal. But I still do try to have that little extra touch of pre-shading, just because it's not going to collect the after shading with like oils and stuff as good, because of the raised panel lines. So, like I said, this was Hell's Bells, the camo version, and the underside is light gray. I really like this tone of gray that I have. It's the Vallejo light gray, and you know, this is just a really nice gray. I've always enjoyed the after effects of when I put it on all my airplanes that I've had it on, because there's a lot of gray that goes on the underside of airplanes. So yeah, right there is just a nice finish. You just fill in those areas and then give it a light coat on top, and then you're good. So Devastating Devil is the tan version, and it actually gets a duck egg blue color. So I could not find duck egg blue, but I found light blue and green, and I mixed them together to get a pretty close duck egg blue. Whichever colors duck's eggs are, I don't know. But this is kind of, I don't know what I was going for here. Like, I just made it close to what I saw in the pictures, and I tried my best with getting a nice duck egg color. And I feel like I did a pretty good job just by hand mixing it. I didn't have a lot of references to go by, but it's definitely very light and thin. I wanted to make sure that I could, you know, revert back and try to edit it if it did come out a little bit of a weird tone and not ruin my shade lines. So here I'm kind of just testing it out and seeing how this blue turned out, and as you can see, it really did turn out really good. Mixing that green and blue together is a great way to get a nice duck egg blue. You just have to finesse it a little bit, and here I just added a little bit of white and applied it in some areas that I saw needed to be a little bit lighter. So this is the top of the Devastating Devil, and I didn't have the color for this either. I don't get it. I have like, I don't know, 100 paints, and I don't have any colors for any of these airplanes. So I ended up having to mix some. So I added some white to it to lighten it up. From the pictures that I saw, it looked like it was a pretty light tan. So I didn't want to go too light though, because I wanted that kind of darker shade of tan for this. But to keep adding white mixtures, it's kind of basically what everyone does, but I like to do it like maybe 2 times, maybe even once or 3 times sometimes. If it's just not light enough, I'll go ahead and do it again. But basically what I do is just keep adding a couple drops of white here, just to give it a nice, like, even distributed kind of tone with depth and color. And I'm trying to bring out all the good light natures of this tan, definitely in this paint job. So I just kept adding white, and it came out really well, actually. Yeah, I definitely tend to like to leave the panel lines pretty dark, just in case of error. Just in case, you know, I missed something in the paint, or I missed anything, because I don't want to lose those panel lines. But you can see there, I mean, this is just a really nice mixture of colors. I really like how this turned out. As you can see there, I mean, this color is just great. It came out really well, especially from a hand mixed color. And you can see all my lines are still pretty dark from error. You know, it's just one of those things. You just want it perfect. So now I'm laying on that lighter top coat over the whole model, and you can see those lines just kind of disappear. So here I'm applying the basic structure of the camo in the areas that I need, but still avoiding those panel lines because I don't want to lose my work on that. And also, it's just important to know, like, you don't want to go too far into where the green is because you don't want to lose those nice pre-shaded areas. I was going to try to airbrush it, but I think it just looks better when you mask it off. I think that's just a much better way to go about it. And yeah, so the camo definitely works better to mask it off. So that's what I did. It's always pretty death-defying when you're doing camo structure like this and don't cover up your tan areas for overspray. And I definitely got overspray on my tan, so I had to go back and redo it. But this is just the basic structure of the green. I tried to do the best that I could with the camo, and it really did actually come out good. I just was mad at myself because I did get a bunch of overspray on the areas that I didn't cover up. So definitely, when you do your camo, cover up the tan that you already painted, because it's valuable to not have overspray on that. It's just a really good idea, and at the time I did not have very many of those, so it was really fun doing this camo though. I haven't done camo since my first build because it's just kind of like, it's threatening to me. I'm worried about it, and to do it, it was relieving to conquer it, and it was really fun. All right, so this is the next version, and I actually really like this. I don't know what it is. I really like olive drab warbirds. I just think they're really cool. So I like the P40s, and this was one of my favorite ones, actually. This one and the tan one. I didn't like the camo one as much as this one and the tan P39, but I definitely, this is mind numbing. I mean, I'm just painting olive drab, so it's pretty simple, and you just avoid those pre-shaded areas, and yeah, you eventually get it done. You lighten up your olive drab a little bit, or you can darken it or whatever, but I just try to leave those pre-shaded areas open to see those through a darker color like the olive drab is. So it's kind of tricky with olive drab. Usually when I'm done with it, I can't really see the panel lines at all. But this one came out good. I actually added a drop of tan to it also to give it a little bit of color difference. And I feel like that worked really well with this model. You can definitely see it in the after effects of it being finished and done up. So I think a drop of tan in the olive drab definitely gave it a little bit of depth and flavor to the model itself, and then you still add white too. You still add white and you lighten it up so that it gets it like that kind of sun affected look, you know. So it definitely looks really, really well. So here is the decal process. I just quickly did this here. I actually didn't have a lot of decals. They had the main things. The shark teeth went on fine, and the white came out wonderful. You could not see through the white at all. Like, I was really, really surprised. And this one has a full band of white that you put on, and you couldn't see it through it whatsoever. So these decals were still good, even being an old kit, and that's the white band that I'm talking about. So definitely a good kit to get, and it was a lot of fun, and they came out great.